YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with an updated NFL mock draft after 9 weeks of the NFL, after 10 weeks of college football, sort of. Not for every conference, but yeah, we're getting more looks at these top prospects, some things changing, guys moving up, guys moving down, bigger needs coming into play for some NFL teams. A lot of teams need quarterbacks, but they all can't get one here in the first round. So we've updated this. We update it here and there in the offseason like crazy. Full NFL draft coverage along with free agency. Full NFL coverage in season, so please subscribe. Almost at that 60K goal. Really appreciate the support. Twitter, constant talk about the draft, NFL in general. Instagram, podcast, Patreon, a lot going on here. Links in the description and comments for anything you need. That Patreon has bonus content such as junior score predictions, my bets of the week for NFL and college football, updated playoff predictions, bonus content, a lot more. A lot going on, always adding more. In the offseason, a bunch of extra draft content as well for Patreon members. I'm using the current NFL draft order for this mock draft, so don't be thinking. Everyone always skims through and comments, you're predicting this team to do this. It's the current draft order, all right? It's the current draft order. And here we go. Jets, Trevor Lawrence, first overall. Not a surprise there. Maybe the best quarterback prospect maybe ever. And the Jets get their guy there. Sam Darnold is not the guy. Trevor Lawrence is the guy, first overall. The Jags go Justin Fields at the second overall pick. He's been extremely consistent so far at the early stage of this season. Very accurate. Has more touchdowns than incompletions. Pretty ridiculous. Obviously can use his legs as well. But showing that downfield ability, that big playability is fantastic. The Jags still looking for the future quarterback. And that very well could be Justin Fields right there. Cowboys go Penei Sewell, Oregon tackle. We could call him just offensive lineman because I think he could potentially play guard for the Cowboys. People may say the Cowboys got Tyrone Smith and Leo Collins. Well, both are out for the season, first off, but we expect them back next year, and they're both very good Pro Bowl level tackles. They could add another guard there. Could be a major upgrade over Connor Williams, and Sewell will be a top. It's like almost a lock that he'll be a top tier guard, but he also could be a Pro Bowl level tackle. So in case you have those injuries, or you think Sewell may be better fitted for the tackle anyways, because you think it could be an upgrade, kind of get a 2-for-1 special here. Keep Dak protected. Obviously, they have to extend Dak. I think they will. They could go Rousseau, they could go an edge rusher, but I think they like DeMarcus Lawrence and Aldon Smith. They got to go possibly the best player available, and a plug and play guy at multiple positions here in Sewell from Oregon. The Giants, I want to give them Zach Wilson. I would love Zach Wilson on the Giants, but at this time, I still think I believe in Daniel Jones. But it's tough because the front office definitely does. Coaching staff, I'm a little iffy on it. Sometimes they just played Washington. They kind of shut down, play conservative because they're worried Daniel Jones is going to turn the ball over. So I would love Zach Wilson for them. It's just something tells me right now they're going to stick it out with Daniel Jones. Their defense is playing pretty good this year, and that's kind of without edge rush. They got a good defensive line, the actual defensive line in their 3-4, but do they have the edge rushers? Gregory Rousseau is the best in the class. Yeah, also can move around quite a bit, play multiple different spots. That would be a good addition to make this defense very good for the future. Washington goes Zach Wilson. I'm a huge Zach Wilson fan. I'm really struggling to find a negative to his game. The deep ball is special. The deep ball is fantastic. The throw on the run ability is special. Just big play after big play, accurate ball after accurate ball. It's hard finding a negative to his game. Very accurate, can move, can run, big playability. That's what I'm looking for in today's NFL. Do you have that downfield threat, and can you move? Can you move outside the pocket, escape pressure? Can you throw on the run? Zach Wilson checks all the boxes. I'm not really worried about the competition level. The throws he makes, has nothing to do with the defense. He's just putting it in the perfect spot. So I like Zach Wilson a lot. Washington, I can see Ron Rivera being kind of a Trey Lance guy, but I don't overthink this. Wilson's just got way more to his game. And we actually have, kind of this year, proof for this year. Trey Lance only playing one game. Trey Lance didn't throw an interception, last year. He's a guy that I'm a little iffy. He's a good player, big playability as well, but maybe not as much as Wilson. It just feels like one of those guys where everything has to be going right. So I'm a little cautious with him. Wilson to the Washington football team here, and then they can start building this offense. It would be scary. Chargers, you can go a number of things with the Chargers here. You can go a lot of different routes. You can add more to the offensive line. Is there one worth the 6th pick? Possibly Alex Leatherwood. You might lose Melvin Ingram. You can add a Kwity Paye from Michigan, defensive end. You can add a corner. Maybe it's a little early for a corner, in my opinion. They can go multiple things here. Future's looking bright with Justin Herbert. I want Micah Parsons because he's well worth the pick. He's a freaky dude. He can cover downfield as a linebacker. Could blitz, get after the court. I mean, this guy probably can be an edge rusher as well. He probably can move around in multiple different spots, but he's an off-the-ball linebacker. He can do so much. There's so much to his game. Freaky dude, rangy dude. And it's tough because they did draft Kenneth Murray this past year, and they do have Drew Tranquil. They can add Parsons to that trio. They do play a lot of 2 linebackers. It depends on who the coach will be next year. Kenneth Murray actually just got pulled out of this last game. He's really struggling in coverage. And if you remember me in the pre-draft process with Kenneth Murray, almost said Kyler Murray, I liked him, but I really liked him on a 3-4 team. And that was to play a mixture of things, strictly inside linebacker on a 3-4 rather than a 4-3, and then actually could fill in as an edge rusher in a 3-4 because he had moments on Oklahoma as an edge rusher in a 3-4, and he was pretty good. He was pretty good. So he's not really doing any of that with the Chargers, and he's kind of struggling right now. He's a high motor guy, can be rangy, can tackle, but and they're not giving up on him, so I don't want anybody to think I'm saying that. But adding Parsons to that group and maybe giving Murray the flexibility could maybe go off the edge, maybe rotate in and play in Melvin Ingram's spot because he comes off the edge sometimes off the ball, and they may lose him. So go with Micah Parsons here, added that linebacker unit. It's weird how the Chargers kind of flip. They're more of an offensive team than a defensive team here. They can go a number of ways. The Dolphins definitely can use a receiver. They need more speed, more big playability here. And, I think Jamar Chase is one hell of a prospect. It's a shame that we didn't get to see him this year. But last year, ridiculous. Every part of his game. He has everything to his game. One of the better receiver prospects I've seen. Really quick. The footwork's ridiculous. But I think the bright spots are, at when attacking the ball, at the point of the catch, gaining that last second separation stronger than you think, fighting off corners, and then just making that big play catch there. So Dolphins adding him for Tua would be fantastic. Bengals go Alex Leatherwood, another Bama offense lineman to add with Jonah Williams there. They can both play tackle, obviously, and they definitely need more protection for Joe Burrow. Thought about Kwity Paye here, Michigan's edge rusher. They desperately need another pass rusher on the edge there, so that was strongly considered. Next group of teams, the Patriots with the 9th pick take Trey Lance, shades of Cam Newton actually, and you're better off with Lance going forward, obviously, so this could be that quarterback that they can work with going forward. Well worth the pick here at 9. I do like the other 3 quarterbacks better at the moment that went before, but I do like Lance around these parts, so that would be pretty fun to see him, taking over for Cam there in the Patriots. And then them kind of grooming this quarterback of the future. Panthers go Patrick Surtain, cornerback from Alabama. They definitely need more secondary help, I think, corner specifically. Give up some pretty big plays back there. Surtain could be the first cornerback off the board. Teams like his measurables, his big playability. Joe Brady probably familiar too. You've probably seen him on the opposite side there when coaching at LSU. Falcons take Kwity Paye, the edge rusher for Michigan, who's really, since Big Ten football has came back, really climbing up the boards. Doesn't really have a whole bunch of production, and if you just go look at his general stats, but getting a ton of pressure, tackle for loss machine, very good in the run game as well. It's a freaky dude. He's making his way up the board, and you can see why if you're watching him. The Falcons could go quarterback of the future. They definitely should think about it. We see 4 guys off the board right now, but I don't know if they do it, and especially in this scenario, this situation here. They're still looking for edge rush help. Grady Jarrett carrying the load up there. Defense is getting better, but they're still looking for maybe the most important thing on the defense, so they get that here at Paye. The Lions go Kyle Trask here. Kyle Trask has been a guy that is really boosting his stock. Big game this past week against Georgia, one of the best defenses in the country, getting better and better, mainly in the pocket, feeling pressure, moving up in the pocket, staying patient. There's never panic. So you love to see that. The improvement from one year to the next with limited play last year, Franks got hurt pretty early, but just kind of getting thrown in there last year. And the improvement's kind of rare. You don't really see that in coaches. Teams will like that a lot. The Lions, I think it'll kind of be a rebuild mode after this year. I think they'll fire, not maybe stage 1 of the rebuild, but I think you get my point. I think Patricia will probably be fired. They can move on from Quinn as well. They like Stafford, but they're going to be thinking about the future. And the class after this, look at the quarterback class maybe in the future. It's tough to predict because guys start to get better, Trask, but this one's looking much better than what's to come here. There's going to be top-tier guys, maybe top 1 or 2 guys in upcoming classes like normal, but not like this class where you have an opportunity at 12 to get a franchise quarterback with upside here, and I think that'll be in the best interest of the Lions. I'm not really impressed with Stafford at the moment, and it's just not – I don't think it's the future. He's good. He can throw. I just don't think it's the future. They're going to be looking for their future. The Vikings go Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame, their left tackle. I think worst-case scenario, he's a top-tier guard. Vikings could be looking for their quarterback of the future too, but we see a bunch of guys gone. That's how good this quarterback class is. Teams are fighting for these quarterbacks. They know they're going to have to get them now rather than later. So a lot of guys off the board. Vikings could find a quarterback of the future here. But they're still, offensive line actually recently has played okay compared to normal, but they're still looking for guys for the future there. They're in a rare spot, picking 13, a rare spot to be able to get that tackle of the future. Riley Reif, they declined to trade him. He's looking pretty good. He's got 1 more year after this. I just think it's a rare spot to be able to get a tackle like Liam Eichenberg, but they could be looking to go guard too, but they transitioned Ezra Cleveland from a tackle to a guard. He's looking pretty good. I think in this scenario they probably would go tackle there. The Broncos go Caleb Farley. Yeah, they might need a quarterback in the future. Drew Lock might not be the answer. They could use offensive line help. The cornerback play has been, they've been beat up, and it hasn't been that good. So they definitely need a cornerback of the future. Caleb Farley. The measurables are ridiculous. The length, physicality, and the speed to go along with that. Teams are going to love that. Vic Fangio, if he's there, will like that. Might have went a little bold here. Niners taking Kyle Pitts. I don't think it's that bold. People will make it seem like that. Kyle Pitts is in the top 10 of my board. This is maybe my favorite player in the draft. I love Kyle Pitts. He's a tight end and a receiver, can play inline, can play slot, can play outside. I don't know if, I don't think anybody else is better contested catch-wise in this class. If he's going up to get the ball, he's going to get the ball. He's got big playability written all over him, can do multiple things. This is a mismatch problem for defenses. Huge mismatch problem. Nobody wants to go against Kyle Pitts. You kind of know it's coming. You can't stop him. The Niners, it seems like they're digging around looking for that tight end to pair with George Kittle. This athletic freak, to me, is in crazy receiving ability, downfield anywhere, is a perfect pair with George Kittle. You can move him anywhere. If Kittle's, not in line, Pitts can be in line. You're swapping them around. It kind of helps with the receiver situation too. You got Deebo Samuel, you got Brandon Ayuk, but a lot of injuries, and nothing guaranteed there. Get him more of a receiver presence as well. You kind of get 2 for 1 here. They could be looking for the quarterback of the future. It's interesting because everyone was kind of all on Garoppolo, and just like that, everyone's looking for the quarterback of the future. Here would be too much of a reach for anybody else. A lot of quarterbacks gone. I think best player available in something that I believe they're looking for, and it makes them that much more dangerous in Shanahan's offense there. The Bears, another team looking for the quarterback of the future. I think a little bit of reach for a guy like Mac Jones for now. They need a lot on offense. They need a lot. I think that they can use a tackle. They can use a guard. They can use, even though they've been getting tight ends, if Pitts was there, they probably can consider Pitts because he's that good. They could use another receiver, and also depending on Allen Robinson, they can use another one. So they need a lot on offense. Wyatt Davis, a guy that can probably potentially go top 10. He's a sure thing guard. So I think kind of pair him with the interior there with Whitehair and Daniels for the future. Add Davis. They could be looking at tackle too. I like Davis a little more than the rest of the tackles here at this point. And again, too much of a reach for a quarterback. But they can go a number of ways here. It could be a team that trades. A lot of these teams could trade up for a quarterback. It's impossible to tell right now. You can tell who, but where it's going to be. Will that team accept it? Remember, that's where people always go wrong. Will that other team accept it? You can't just snap your finger and you get the pick. I think people act like if they want to do it, they're going to do it. It's not that simple sometimes. Next group of picks, Jaylen Waddle falls a little bit because of the injury. I'm not really too worried about it. I think it's a guy that probably can, the injury, it's probably he can come back from it at some point, but they're playing it safe. Deep ball, expert at the deep ball. Deep ball expert here. But you can get him a screen pass, you get him underneath. He's freaky fast. The movement's ridiculous. But what I like, usually those guys don't know how to high point the ball that great. Compare him to Henry Ruggs a little bit. They're both deep ball, specialists. Waddle will go up and get a little better than Ruggs, actually. So the Colts will love to have another receiver here that I think they desperately need. Eason, only the Colts know right now. I like Jacob Eason. I like his potential. That could be the guy here, or they could be in the market for a quarterback still. We really don't know at this point, but I would like this Waddle pick a lot. The Browns take Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame. This guy is everywhere if you've been watching him this year, really in the past as well. I've been talking about him in the first round for some time, and now other people are finally starting to talk about it. This is an outside linebacker that can play in the slot. He can even blitz or come off the edge, get after the quarterback. It's a total package type of dude. It's one of those guys where you don't have to take off the field on third down. You see teams take off a linebacker on third down to put in a guy to cover from the slot. Don't need to with this guy. You can keep him on the field at every down, and he can make those big plays on every down. I can't tell what he's better at. The ranginess, sniffing out plays in the backfield, the coverage skills. You see him cover really good receivers and make plays at a high level there. So the Browns definitely need somebody like this. That would help their defense a lot. Another linebacker. Eagles, desperately need linebacker help. They can use pretty much every position at the linebacker position, every player at the linebacker position. Dylan Moses, freaky dude from Alabama. Maybe like a poor man's Darius Leonard type linebacker here. Pretty solid in coverage, high motor guy, get in the backfield. Eagles definitely looking for a linebacker like that. Cardinals need another corner. Patrick Peterson declining a little bit, still solid. Byron Murphy hasn't really worked out. They've been trying to get corners in there, try to figure it out. J.C. Horn from South Carolina, physical dude. Physical, pretty athletic as well, but I love his physicality, really tight in coverage. And usually guys like that, they have a hard time reading the quarterback, but I believe he keeps an eye on the quarterback and reads them pretty well at the same time. So I do like me some J.C. Horn, not afraid to come up and hit as well. The Dolphins, with their second pick, went Rashawn Slater from Northwestern. He has experience pretty much all over the offensive line. Most people are listing him as a tackle. I like him on the interior, whether it's guard or center. I think he'll be very good there. And the Dolphins' offensive lines actually played pretty impressive, better than expected. But they could get better here. Ted Karras, they signed to a 1-year deal. Might not be, could be future at center. A guy like Solomon Kinley's been actually playing, pretty well. But I think a guy like Slater, you can get better at whether you want to put him at center or guard. I think most likely center in this case. The Dolphins really don't have a whole bunch of needs with these picks that they have either. They're a good team right now, and they just got to keep on developing guys because they really don't have that many holes. So that's why it's very impressive here. But they can add Slater to make that offense line even better for the future. Jags go with Barmore from Alabama, interior guy that can provide some interior pressure desperately what the Jags need. The edge rushers need some help. It's really on them. Ball's coming out quick, the quickest trip to the quarterbacks from the inside. They really have nothing in there. So add a guy like that. The Raiders, the same thing. They're getting no pressure from the interior. Marvin Wilson could provide that. Maybe better run stopper. Maybe they would like to have Barmore a little more as well. But Wilson's always getting his hands on the ball too. He knows how to get the pass deflections, rack up those. The Raiders definitely can use the guy there. They could be in the market for an edge rusher as well because the guys aren't really getting the job done. Maybe besides Max Crosby, but Farrell's starting to pick it up a little bit. The Buccaneers, team that doesn't have a whole bunch of needs as well, but I went with an edge rusher, Carlos Basham Jr. from Wake Forest. Not sure why Wake's in red. Graphics guy messing that up. They're black and a little bit of gold there. But Basham's a freak off the edge there. Really impressed with him, last 2 years. Buccaneers do have Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul. Shaq Barrett on the franchise tag, Jason Pierre-Paul, 1 year left after this. They've been inconsistent too. They're like really good at one moment, but all of a sudden the pressure just disappears. They kind of rely on the blitz. So add another guy for the future because there's really, they could extend Barrett. Remember Pierre-Paul, only there for one more year. I think adding another guy would be key. I think you could afford to do that with not that many giant needs as well. And then moving on to the last, here comes the receivers. Receivers are flying off the board now. Another really good receiver class. Jets add Devontae Smith, receiver from Alabama. Really good down the sideline. He showed that last year. Now he's starting to show us some things over the middle of the field too. Excellent route runner. Really good with his feet. Really good footwork there. And then really good at separating from the defender. Last second using his length. And the Titans go get Rashad Bateman. Bateman, very good contested catcher, knows how to get open. Big playability written all over him. The Titans are probably going to lose Corey Davis. They got A.J. Brown, who moves around quite a bit, slot outside, so add a Bateman. Bateman's going to be kind of like that Corey Davis, maybe some more upside there as well. They could use a corner. I don't know if I was really feeling any of them from them right now. They could extend Desmond King. They need to get Adoree Jackson back healthy. Ravens also need a receiver. It was kind of edge rush receiver they need. They add the edge rusher in Ngakoue, possibly for the future. They get a receiver. And you may say Rondale Moore might be the next best available. That's more of a Marquise Brown type of guy. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown here from USC is their type of guy. It's a guy that you can get the deep ball to. It's a guy that you can get the ball to over the middle of the field. It's a guy that you can get the ball to at the line of scrimmage behind. Really quick, knows how to make people miss. Really strong, too. Stronger than you think he is. I think that's the type of guy the Ravens need in there. Kind of an all-around guy, not just a short ball specialist, not just a deep ball guy, speed guy. They kind of got guys that are strictly, this is their best game. They're not so hot at the rest of this. I think kind of get an all-around guy here in St. Brown. The Bills take Trey Smith from Tennessee. I like Trey Smith a lot. I think he's better than 28 overall. Mean, nasty blocker on the interior. Came in as a top recruit at tackle. He had some health scares, and then he came back as a guard. Honestly, I think he could play tackle at a pretty high level in the NFL, but he's going to be a dominant guard. I see the Bills had to cut Quentin Spain. That wasn't really working out, but he's planning to be the starter on the inside. They definitely need to kind of fix that, and the running game hasn't been able to get going that well. They could get a better running back here, but I think the blocking on the interior hasn't been that great in terms of the running game. Get a guy like Trey Smith that fixes that problem. The Packers finally get a receiver here. They get Rondale Moore, that speed that can be a deep threat, but a guy you can get ball underneath, and he can make people miss. What they missed out on trying to get Will Fuller, at the trade deadline, possibly could help by getting Rondale Moore here from Purdue. The Chiefs, another team that doesn't have a whole bunch of needs. I think it's going to be key. I've kind of talked about this every mock draft. I feel like I've done. I think it's going to be key to make sure there's no gap of, offensive line. What I mean by that, if you don't resupply now, even if it's not a starter right now, there's probably going to be a gap at one point where you lose a guy, and then you don't want it to be weak. You don't want it to be weak in your franchise, your key piece that you paid all that money, getting all that pressure, maybe more of an injury concern. You want to make sure, and the good teams with the good, offense on the Packers, for an example, Saints, for an example, careers, those careers for Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Hall of Fame type guys, and those teams as well. They're always good. They always made sure they had that next guy up, ready to go. There was no gap for the offensive line. The same thing has to happen with the Chiefs here because they may not have Schwartz and Fisher for some time. Samuel Cosme from Texas, he's fun to watch. I'm a little scared. I get a little scared about the Big 12 offensive linemen because they don't have to block for long. It's a way different challenge in the NFL, and sometimes they don't work, and that might be it. But he's very fun to watch. I think he also could be a very solid guard as well. But he should be a first-round pick. I think most people have him higher, but I'm a little cautious with the Big 12 offensive linemen. It's tough to put that label on them. That's really not fair sometimes. But it's also tough to judge fully because the ball comes out so quick in these offenses that, he blocked for 2 seconds. It's hard to grade that. But he's impressive. Saints go Mac Jones, another quarterback comes off the board. I'm a little iffy on Jones. Being a first-round pick, I would like him on the Saints, though. I think I could see that being that next Drew Brees. They have Jameis Winston, 1-year deal. They don't have the most cap space. They don't really have any cap space. They're actually in the negative in the future. They're probably not going to be able to extend Jameis Winston, unless it's super cheap again. But I think somebody will pay him a little more to be the starter, perhaps. Taysom Hill, to me, I don't think he's a starting quarterback. I don't think they want him to be the starting quarterback. They want him to be that utility guy that he's great at. Mac Jones seems like a Drew Brees type quarterback, guy that can take over. He can actually learn from Drew Brees for another year if he comes back. If not, I think, especially with that offensive line, I like him going. Well, I like any quarterback going to a really good offensive line, but I think that's what he needs. That's something I worry about with him. He's been good with pressure. He's been completing passes, big plays under pressure. Some of his footwork sometimes gets a little sloppy when the pressure comes, and I'm not really worried about him taking sacks or anything, but kind of, I can see against NFL pressure, how will he be? Same thing kind of with Daniel Jones. He didn't throw like a ton of picks, but I kind of could see it. If he had a little more pressure on him with the footwork, he starts to get, I don't want to say Jones is panicky or anything, but you could start to see it with his footwork a little bit. That could happen. But Going with the Saints. I think perfect system, perfect offensive line. I think he can actually thrive there. But I am a little iffy about him in the first round. So we'll see. And the Steelers, a team that doesn't have many needs, they could be looking for the quarterback of the future. Mac Jones off the board here. A lot of quarterbacks off the board. I like Javon Holland because I don't know what he's better at, and that's the good thing. Is he better at corner? Is he better at slot corner? Is he better at safety? I think he can play all at a pretty even level. I think most people like him kind of safety or in the box. His reps at corner in the past, I thought, looked very, very solid, But he can help the Steelers at any of those. You can play him alongside Micah. They have Mike Hilton for the slot, but you can have, it could be an upgrade over Edmonds perhaps. Edmonds sometimes can be solid in run support, playing in the box. But you also can play him outside corner. I think it's an upgrade in so many different ways, where I think you're better off going this route than versus Shaun Wade, who has a big moment, and then he's a little inconsistent this year so far. But I think Shaun Wade could be a really good slot corner. Outside, solid, but is he a first-round outside corner, which, again, you have strictly a slot corner. You have Mike Hilton, where Holland can help you in so many different ways here. So that's kind of why I went with that. But, yeah, the talk is quarterbacks. A lot of teams need quarterbacks. Again, the future doesn't look – there's some bright futures in terms of young quarterbacks, but I don't see a quarterback class like this with this many guys coming up. So I think the teams that need the quarterback now or the near future will try to get them. Other guys, Derek King, he's starting to heat up for the Miami Hurricanes there. And if somebody wants to get creative, get a Kyler Murray type, but he's not Kyler Murray, but type offense, player. They may do that. They may look to get a guy like that. Jamie Newman, I liked. He had the perfect opportunity to go show the world what he's got at Georgia, and opting out kind of hurt him a little bit. But a guy that could be sneaky. There's a number of pretty good quarterbacks that we didn't even talk about in this video here that could be sneaky and rise up the boards there. This is what I got for now. Again, this was not predicted order. This is the actual order right now. And I know your team, everyone's going to come at me. Our team needs a quarterback. Can't get everybody a quarterback. Not doing trades yet. Way too early to create that mess. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Smash that like button if you did. Please subscribe. Full NFL draft coverage on this channel, as well as just NFL coverage in season, of course. Patreon has a bunch of extra content as well. Follow the Twitter, link down below. Subscribe, turn notifications on so you don't miss a thing. We much appreciate it. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.